I know. No.
Hi, Holly.
Hey, Holly. Nice to meet you. I know
Nice
so
to
many
see you.
people's names, I realized from looking at our lists eternally, but I realized that we never have met, so it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
This is, so I take it, Holly, you and David know each other?
Yeah,
You've worked together? Oh,
well,
wonderful.
we've just had a Zoom chat, haven't we, David?
Yeah, that is this now. That's the world.
Oh,
We have
heck.
met.
Yeah.
We have met in air quotes.
Yes. Well, actually, I think the
That's how
new
we
norm
all
is
meet these days.
after 5 Zoom chats, you're engaged anyway. So really, it's all a different world.
How have you
Holly,
been
this
doing,
is-
Holly? How's
Things are inching forwards. Mary, I don't know if I've let you know. I'm trying to do a project around musical engagement with dementia care communities, but looking specifically at inclusion of ethnic groups, different ethnic groups.
Oh, wonderful.
I am working across the northwest of the UK, northwest of England, and I'm working with staff at the Manchester Foundation Trust, which is the large hospitals in Manchester. So they have a COVID BAME engagement group of staff members. So we're going to be working together, and I'm also working with members of the South Asian community and the African Caribbean community, but looking at trying to generate resources that are appropriate to inclusion and celebrating diversity. So things have been moving slowly, but doing a lot of listening.
I like is this your logo? So Many Beauties?
It is, yeah.
Very nice.
That's great. And what a fantastic project. Holly, I'm Pia. We haven't met before, but really excited to hear about that because I'm very interested in music and dementia. And we actually just created a documentary that you might have interest in called Music is Life. So I'll have to send that to you.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah.
That's
about your project.
that is an amazing video. I've shared it far and wide.
Oh, Phyllis, that's great. Oh, that's great.
No, it would be really interesting. I mean, I also agree. The video is wonderful. And we've been, trying to make a concerted effort to reach out particularly to ethnic communities. Hi, Sian. And actually, I'm kind of excited because we've been working on moving into the Muslim community in Australia. We have some connections there and just got our first member from. So I would be very eager to hear more as you kind of how you've moved this along.
Hi, Mary. Morning.
Yes, wonderful. Just for folks who don't know, Sian we met her through Sherry Dupuy. I know you now live in, and some of you may know her. But for others who don't, she's also together with Mike, who is, he's up in this corner of my screen. I guess that has no meaning for anyone else. She is our other Zoom. She'll be hosting the next 2 Zoom gatherings. So very important people. Well, Mary, where's
Benji?
Benji's okay. Benji is
probably sleeping.
No, he's better. He's waking up and he's okay. He's here.
Okay, good.
Here in a few minutes.
He's
getting dressed and putting on his makeup,
Right. We have to have standards, for heaven's sake.
Tell you.
Hopefully Stephen will be able to dial in okay.
Yeah, I mean, he should be. I mean, this is exactly the same setup as before. I mean, we didn't do anything new, so hopefully he can.
Cool. We've been having lots of time zone things.
Oh, it's dreadful. Can't we just be one world?
I know.
I mean, really? Do we need more barriers? All right.
It might
So,
mean that
Mike,
some
I'm
of us would have to labor in the dark for most of the day, though. That might be a bit difficult. I think we'd have to do swapsies for that one.
Right.
So,
Oh, all
so
right.
they don't do daylight say what we call like a time change for summer and other parts of the year.
They do.
I mean, it's just on a different schedule.
Yeah, that's what gets difficult because like Australia, I know goes off earlier than we do. England goes off later. You know, I mean, it's just
Uh-huh.
it's a mess.
It doesn't-
Nothing's coordinated.
It doesn't.
Just to really add that beautiful annoyance in, just to extra touch.
Because we don't have enough stress. Oh, there's Benj. Now see,
Hi,
Benji
Benji.
clearly knows Zoom. He is like very, he knows exactly how to place himself.
Period.
So
Oh,
on Sunday, we had a Zoom family brunch. And my
nice.
granddaughter, because of the time change, she's in Riga. So because of the time change, she showed up just as we were all getting ready to sign off because she forgot about the time change and should have been
Yeah.
on an hour earlier. So sorry, pretty girl, we're gone.
Right. You have to.
That
Oh.
sometimes happens to me where I miscalculate the time difference and then I log on for a meeting and no one's there. And then I frantically email everyone saying, where is everybody? Did I miss the meeting? It's difficult.
Mhm.
Yes.
Now, Sion, what prompted the move to New Brunswick?
A big part of it was the cost of housing. I was in Waterloo, Ontario, and it was starting to get to the point where it was getting to like Toronto prices. Because
Oh,
a lot of people are moving, out of Toronto and trying to get affordable housing. And so our original plan was to have a house that we could rent out. So we were in a kind of a smaller house that wasn't really suited for us in the long term. And we wanted to get a bigger house with some more land. And it's just, we didn't want to double our mortgage. We're wanting to get out of that situation. So yeah, and my parents also were looking to retire out on the East Coast in a couple of years. So we kind of beat them to it. So they're going to be following us soon in a couple of years. And yeah, it's great. Like our house is, bigger than what we kind of, even expected, and we're on an acre plus of land next, close to the ocean. So it's great so far. Loving it.
that's great. Wow.
Is
That's
it
nice.
colder there? Is it farther north? Is it New Brunswick?
I think it will be a bit colder. Like Ontario is quite, is quite cold. You get up to, minus 30. I think the difference will be the wind chill factor because we are near the ocean. We're already finding it quite windy. So I don't know if that's just the time of year or not. So we'll see.
That's funny. And Holly, you probably, I know you said generally where you work, but where do you live? Like what's the?
I live in a small mill town called Hebden Bridge. It's very pretty.
It's funny. The minute you said the name, I thought, boy, I bet that's a pretty little town. I mean, there's just something about the name that just evokes. I mean, I suppose it could be not so, but it just evoked a pretty little town.
Prettiness.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's in West Yorkshire, so in between Manchester and Leeds. And it's a beautiful little mill town with a river running through it. And I'm very lucky I have all the hills. With the autumn trees are wearing their glorious autumn coats at the moment with all their beautiful red and orange leaves. So it's I'm very lucky.
I have a friend in Derbyshire who's lives near the Crooked Spire. Know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. We used to I used to work at the music college in Manchester, and we used to send singers to go and sing in that church. for their big concerts and things. So yeah, I forget the name of it though. I can't remember.
I don't know the actual name of it because she always calls it the Crooked Spire. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, we got time.
So, Mike, where are you exactly?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. So yeah, but I mentioned my folks were in Dundas, so we moved around the Northeast a good deal when I was a kid and moved down here in '96. So,
Okay.
and I don't know if you heard, but so I'm
Uh,
reporting in the Zoom jockey capacity, but have worked with Mary for years and Susan for about 20 years now in various capacities. Built the All Stars youth development model here in Atlanta, which is sort of built off of the project, or built on the model of the All Stars in New York City and around the country.
Do you do anything with the Dementia Spotlight Foundation?
No, I do not. Or is that in Atlanta? Dementia Spotlight.
oh, look into that, Mike.
It's she's a lovely, lovely young woman who started it because of one of her parents. They provide respite care for carers, and they do a music festival. They had been doing a music festival every year.
Oh, really?
Bringing people together, and yeah, she's a lovely young woman, and also another gentleman I know on the board runs Dementia Mentors, which is the social group for people with dementia worldwide. He's got about 40 social meetups in Zoom every month.
Oh, fantastic.
So
The other thing you have to watch for, Mike, is Dementia Action Alliance has a conference about every 2 years, I think it is, in Atlanta. And it's a phenomenal conference for people living with dementia.
That I feel like I've seen around.
Actually, Mike, that's where we were when you picked me up. That we were in Atlanta for the last one, and Mike picked me up after the end of the conference. Yes. Welcome to our new arrivees, Lindsay, Dan, Amanda. Please, we're just informally chatting. You can feel free to let us. Lindsay, where are you from? And
oh, I just realized that that's my partner's name. I'm gonna have to change the name on that. It's Kristen, and I am from.
Oh, you're Kristen. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put my name in there.
Yeah, actually, if folks could, while we're thinking about it, maybe if you could, if this is easily be doable for you, add your name and your country.
Oh.
And your
or location.
Whatever that's called. Location. Well, your location, yes. But just so because it'll be helpful to see the Canada. Okay, now Kristen, you're in Toronto. What do you do there?
I was recently laid off, but I was working for an organization called the Dotsa Bitov Wellness Academy. It's an arts academy for people living with memory loss. And we practiced relational caring. And so it was very relational built. And so we were kind of using art as an opportunity to build relationships with people living with memory loss. Yeah.
Hi, Kristen.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi. So the Bitov Wellness Academy is where we filmed the documentary Music is Life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Kristen and I know each other.
Oh, okay. It's BITUS, Bitus?
So BITOVE, Bitov Wellness Academy.
BEIT. Oh, okay.
VE, yeah, Bitov.
And is it Nolana?
Yeah, it's Nolana.
Nolana.
So my name is Nolana Neubauer, and I am a postdoctoral researcher out of the University of Waterloo in Canada. I'm also, though, a second-year occupational therapy student out of the University of Alberta. So while I work in Waterloo, I am situated in Edmonton. And my research focus over the last 5 years, it's also been stemming from my PhD, is around the area of those with dementia at risk of getting lost and going missing. And how do we start to change this field, get away from locked dementia units and just let them live the lives they want to live. So.
Hi, Nolana.
Hi, Phyllis.
Oh, good. We can play 6 degrees of separation. Jill, from where do you call home? And yeah,
she's muted.
Oh, are you talking to me? So
yeah.
So I call Edmonton, Alberta home. I was born and raised here, and because I'm in a clinical-based program, even though we're online right now, but my placements start in January. So everything will be based out of Alberta, but I do a lot of early morning meetings like this one because all my colleagues in the research world are in Ontario. So
that's right. You live in an upside down world. No, it's true.
And a lot of my research colleagues as well. I'm one of the co-founders of the International Consortium on Dementia and Wayfinding, and so a lot of my colleagues are out in the UK. So I'm also used to those meetings with their folks when they're 7-8 hours ahead.
Yes. Okay. Amanda, I think we have communicated. You're in Indiana.
Yeah, I'm in Bloomington, Indiana, and I work for Indiana University Health, which is a hospital system and public health initiatives for South Central Indiana. And I also am the dementia liaison for the state of Indiana. So we've been doing a lot of work here, a lot of things happening.
Actually, I've heard, I don't know if it's your program, but I worked with a woman named Catherine Hope from Chicago, and she's been involved with what sounded like a really innovative, interesting, but I know it was in Indiana, and I don't want to make the mistake of thinking, Indiana's a big state.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's some very interesting, innovative work going on there, is the point of it.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of work around public health initiatives and education and changing the way that we have educated what we call our certified nursing assistants and home health aides, and then working in high schools, colleges, and with adult learners all across the state, universities. So there's been a lot of changes and initiatives that have spawned off of that as well. So it's pretty interesting to see how quickly it is.
Great, welcome.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to wear my official host hat for a second. We're expecting 40 some people today. So I think we'll give it another minute or so for folks to come on, and then we'll get started because there's a lot to do, and so in the meantime, feel free to keep, chatting, but we'll probably get started in about a minute.
Just to check, Mary, Stephen, is that you there with us?
Yes, Stephen's on the phone.
Excellent.
Great. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello.
Hi.
Yep.
Hi, Francis.
Hi, Francis. Susan, hello. Angela, Robin, George, Chantel.
Hi. So, hi, I'm Susan. I'm sorry my screen is black, but I just got up and I can't show my face. So I'm going to be listening in kind of incognito. My mom had Alzheimer's disease. I'm a former caregiver. I run and write the blog called myalzheimersstory.com. And I recognize a lot of faces. Yeah, I'm just a little sleepy this morning. Looking forward to it.
if we hear some soft snoring, we'll just kind of kindly mute you. But otherwise,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thanks.
Others, let's see. Chantel, where are you in North Carolina?
Hi, everyone. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. I am faculty in the Masters of Gerontology program. It's a fully online program, and a majority of our students are actually what we like to say working scholar practitioners. So a majority of our students are social workers, nurses, already in industry, in the field, in serving or helping professions. Many of them confronting or working with older adults with different types of dementia, Alzheimer's disease. And we've just started, mind you, I'm new faculty. I only started here July, but I believe it is rather new that we have a, gosh, I wish I could remember the name because I don't teach it, but it's a cognitive aging and dementia, I think is the course title. And from what I've read so far, a lot of students are finding a lot of value in that course in their own professional lives and personal lives. And I've heard the same thing in teaching over the years.
Sure. Now, just out of curiosity, Chantel, do you know Francis? Aren't you both at Greensboro? You know.
Yeah, we met at one.
I kind of figured that was the connection. But, you never know when serendipity happens. All right. All right. I think we should. I mean, this has been. This is so wonderful, though. I'm torn. I'm always. This is why it makes me a terrible host, because I really enjoy hearing people talk about it. So let's kind of keep trying to find ways to introduce ourselves going throughout. And please, if you haven't been able to speak, we will get to know you. And in a way, a lot of what we're going to be doing today, kind of by design, and is getting to know each other. We really have, in starting this, and a number of the founding members of the coalition are here. We really thought that in order to kind of make this work, this coalition, we really wanted and needed to kind of get to know each other and our strengths, resources, interests, passions, talents, and kind of work from that, rather than figuring something out from up here and then trying to fit everybody into it. Just a brief, my name is Mary Fridley. I have met some of you, if only by email, and I have the great privilege of being the coordinator of the Reimagining Dementia. Actually, just a question, could everyone go on mute for a minute, because there's some background noise, and it would be great. Thank you. Anyway, I'm also somebody who never believes that if I throw a party, anyone's ever going to show up. So thank you very much for showing up. This is it. I know my mental health is not the big issue here, but I appreciate it. You're going to be hearing a bit more formally from one of our founding members about the coalition. And as I said, we're gonna continue to get to know each other. But before we kick off the rest of the program, I wanted to just, I don't know why, but I've been so inspired by them. Two short quotes by, I think, two people many of us will know. They're just incredibly passionate advocates for theater, for creativity, for improvisation, the arts. And they've certainly inspired me and taught me, and kind of reinforced, actually, because I don't think I've ever not believed this, but certainly reinforced my belief and passion for why creativity is how we need to move forward. Not only in the field of dementia, and I think that the field of dementia, I think, cries out for it, but I think in the world, because there's so much going on, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much pain, there's so much just that we need to do, that I just really believe that the more we can empower people to create in their lives, I think we have a shot at transforming the conversation about dementia from, I don't know, tragedy to possibility. And the first of the quote is from, I know this person is very well known, and Davis Basting. But it's from a fairly recent talk. Maybe she said it before, but she said play allows for the shift from the expectation of memory to the freedom of imagination. And I just love that. I mean, to me, it speaks to my heart, because I think we as people, as human beings, need that kind of freedom to begin imagining and reimagining. And then another is, some of you may know her, her name is Viola Spolin, and she was an innovator, a pioneer in both theater and improvisation. And she really was the founder of what we now know to be the modern improvisational movement. But she said that creativity is not the clever rearranging of the known. And I don't know, I love that, because as I think about 2020, and I've shared this with some people, I think if it's clear, if anything is clear, it's the known is not up to the task of addressing the challenges we now face. I have enormous respect for a lot of what's happened and the kind of tools that we've been using in all these years, but we need some new tools. We need some new ways of seeing and being. And I think that one of the things I'm very excited about, and have been excited about since we kicked this off some months ago, is that we have the opportunity to create new tools and to bring new ways of being and seeing into, again, this conversation, and hopefully influencing a much broader conversation. So we're going to get started. And one of the things we're going to do is kind of in terms of seeing and appreciating that we have come together to do this. I'm going to turn it over to Susan Masad. She is a founding member of the Reimagining Dementia Coalition. She's on the faculty of the Eastside Institute in New York. And she's someone who she's a good friend and colleague who I've had the great joy over the years of working with. And she's a co-founder of the Joy of Dementia, You've Got to Be Kidding workshop and conversation series that we've been working on for a number of years now. And with that, I'll turn it over to Susan.
Unmute. and for this, welcome. It's beautiful to see you. And we're going to start by just learning and expressing our appreciation of who's here. So our first kind of part of this exercise is just to look around our rooms, every square, take a look, make some eye contact, keep looking. Look at our kind of beautiful gathering here. You can go to a new page. Keep on just kind of looking around. Just give a little smile. You can even give a wave. Okay, very good. What a beautiful group. Beautiful group. Now, before we start, this game is called Emotional Gibberish. So I'll give you a little demonstration with Kate Fassbender of Gibberish. So Kate, I'm going to ask you, how are you feeling today? In gibberish, can you respond to me? You have to unmute. Kate, you have to unmute.
I got it now. Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's gibberish. It's nonsense talk. So to start, I want everybody to put one or two words in the chat. How are you feeling today?
Sorry, real words or gibberish words? Sorry.
Real words.
Real words, okay.
Take a minute to give us your 2 words or 1 word. You can come in. Okay, great. You can keep writing them while I talk. So I am going to look at the chat and read out how an emotion or how one person's feeling today. And when I read out a feeling or words, I want all of you, and we'll do this simultaneously, to perform that feeling. If I say sad, you're going to perform sad. But instead of performing that in English, I want you to perform it in gibberish. So when I say sad, I want people to perform sad in gibberish. Okay, so you all have to unmute to do this. Okay, so everybody unmute. Okay. So excited. Present.
Okay.
Peace. Flat and squished. Droopy. Motivated. Like a spoon. Mix of emotions. And cut. And give yourselves a big round of applause.
All righty.
Thank you.
So we should continue to build from there. All righty. I'm gonna turn things over to David McDonough. And before I do, I'm just going to ask a quick question because I have a feeling with this group, what part of my task is not going to be that important. But I just want to check, is everyone familiar with Zoom and the functions and all of that? So I kind of thought so. So I'm going to bypass that part of my script. Though to say that, and again, I think this is a small enough group that we could probably have some mix of things, but if you have questions for the moment, why don't you just write them in the chat box and we'll be having time throughout to chat, but if there are things that, and I'll keep my eye on that, and if there's anything that obviously we should address immediately, we will do that. But that's for the moment, although again, that might change depending on how we unfold. All right, so I want to turn things over to David McDonough, who will introduce himself and his partners, I should say, and they'll be sharing a little bit about the coalition and kind of from whence we've come. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mary. The way you said David McDonough earlier was like how my mum used to say it when I was in trouble. So I had a shudder there. But yeah, thanks
you
very
better
much.
get this right then.
This is it. So thank you very much. I'm Dave McDonough. I'm project coordinator with Flourishing Lives. We're a London-wide coalition of arts and wellbeing organisations working with people over the age of 55. We wanted to just give you a kind of brief overview of the development behind the formation of the coalition. And there's a lot to summarise. So thanks very much, Pia, for actually summarising it for me because I would have struggled. So I'll do that and give you some information about the kind of formation. And if I descend into gibberish, it's part of the play. Okay, it's not just me staggering over the words. So the founding members of the coalition have all been committed in their respective work to addressing injustices that people living with dementia face and creating a more inclusive society. When we saw that over 80% of COVID-related deaths were associated with nursing homes, with the majority of them being persons living with dementia, we were angry. And that anger turned quickly to outrage with the media coverage of the pandemic, given how little mention there's been regarding the role of stigma and other social factors in shaping care practices and public health response strategies to COVID-19, which are having a profound impact on persons living with dementia and their care partners and loved ones. This highlighted for us the need to take immediate action. People living with dementia should have equal access to health, well-being, privileges, and opportunity, regardless of their race or ethnicity, sexual preference, political views or faith, economic status, or any other circumstance. This is the justice piece to the name of our coalition. To achieve this justice requires education, advocacy, and innovation at every level of society. And there is no one individual or organization that can achieve this alone. And so we felt that a coalition, a coming together to achieve particular goals, is what is needed to forge alliances across the globe with people living with dementia, young and old, family and community members, healthcare practitioners, advocates, artists, academics, policy figures, and others to work collaboratively to challenge the stigma associated with dementia and to mobilize the practices and political processes that are needed to finally achieve a humanizing vision of care and support that promotes inclusion, relationality, creativity, and the possibility of growth for everyone living with and who are impacted by dementia. Something that is unique about this coalition is our belief in creativity, which includes the arts, theatre, music, movement, improvisation, performance, and much more, as critical to bringing us together and innovating new ways to address the social injustices that people living with and impacted by dementia face. Indeed, the creative arts are increasingly advocated for promoting personal and social transformation. Social justice-oriented theatre, documentary film, and participatory arts are some examples that are proving to be a very effective way to challenge stigma and to shifting the culture of dementia care from management and control to relationships, creativity, and supporting human flourishing. There are, of course, many local, national, and international examples of individuals and organizations making important strides to achieve culture change. Our membership powerfully encompasses much of this work. So our aim with this coalition is to leverage these and other collective initiatives, resources, expertise, and passion to organize and mobilize strategies, processes, and practices. Given just how hard culture change work is, such a collective effort seems to be the most productive way forward. So we initiated a call to action. You all responded, I'm glad to say. And it is our hope that everyone who is committed to culture change will also respond and join this space that we have opened in order to collectively create goals and strategies for radical change. I'm going to introduce you now to teammate Stephen Bush, who will talk a little bit about what drew him to join the coalition. Stephen Bush was a carer for 12 years with his mother who had Alzheimer's, then his brother who was affected by vascular dementia and died in one of the care homes 18 months ago. So over to you, Stephen.
Thanks, David. Hello, I'm Stephen. You can't see me because I'm phoning in on a landline from London. Hospital reviews are generally a negative experience designed to monitor decline and anticipate disaster. Alzheimer's may be an inherited condition in my family, so I'm also monitored myself. I now participate in a theatre workshop where the person affected by dementia, relative, and carer all have an equal status. we work together within a larger group to create something new, enjoyable and positive in the present. So that's been going on, I think, for about 6 years now. Originally called a reminiscence project, but I think most of us would agree it's not about reminiscence, it's about now. So I particularly like the Coalition's emphasis on the arts contribution to reimagining dementia. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. And I'm now going to introduce you to Mary L. Radnofsky. Sorry, Amanda, I saw you applauding, and that does deserve applause. I'll give a moment to applaud Stephen, actually, sorry. And I'll now introduce you to Mary L. Radnofsky to also talk about what drew her to join the Coalition. Mary, 62, is now a human rights advocate for people with dementia, was a college professor of education and human development, French, astronomy, and qualitative research. I always struggle to say qualitative. She founded the Socrates Institute, a non-profit organization, before being diagnosed with vascular microangiopathy 15 years ago. She is the first person with dementia to have spoken at the United Nations, still drives and lives independently, and recently moved to a new home with her service dog, Benji, who I believe has had his makeup today. She consults on human-computer interaction projects at the University of Maryland, has ghostwritten and edited several books, and is currently writing a human rights guide for people with dementia. Over to you, Mary.
Thanks, David. I'm really glad to see somebody doing something with creativity and thinking outside the box. It's kind of the way that I've approached most of my life, which is without a routine and doing things spontaneously, which turns out to be a real advantage when you have dementia, because the transition from the way you were to the way you must be is easier. But the things that have driven me to the Coalition are the justice part of the goals, because I also had a mother with dementia and saw that a lot of the things that she had a right to were not respected. And it seemed to me at the time, before I really knew all of my rights, that things were not right, but I didn't know what to do about it. And I didn't know what personally I could do, as well as how I could deal with it. So the importance of developing the person with dementia's artistic and intellectual and creative side is not just good for them, it is an essential part of our being. And we are still human, regardless of the diagnosis that we get. So I created a declaration about my humanness, and have even copyrighted a small phrase to express it, which is once human, forever human. And that's how I feel about my life.
Thanks, Mary. I think that, again, definitely.
Thank you. Wow. I know I've been part of this for a while, but it's very inspiring to hear it out loud. It really is. One thing I realized I meant to say in the opening is that the Coalition has formally launched on September 8th, I believe. So we're not even 2 months old. And we now have about 340 members from around the world. Obviously including from Nigeria, from Nicaragua, from the US, Canada, Great Britain, and a number of other countries, and I'll kind of seed those in as we go along. But we have been thrilled with the response, and we obviously want to keep building it. So hopefully we can all kind of let people know in our own ways that this is going on, and that we would love people to join us if they want to be part of a kind of creative, if you will, revolution in this area. All right, I'm going to turn things over to, again, a founding member, Kate Fassbender. And Kate, I realize I'm going to change what I was going to do. Why don't you introduce yourself real briefly, and Kate's going to set us up for, we're going to do a breakout room. So Kate is going to set us up for that.
Okay, I'm off mute. So I'm Kate Fassbender, and I am the creator of the Dementia Letters Project, which seeks to help develop and cultivate communities that are wealthy in creativity, connection, and joy, both through education and through life enrichment, development, and facilitation. So we're going to spend about 15 minutes in breakout rooms, getting to know each other a little better. So when we're in these breakout rooms, if you could select somebody that would be your facilitator, that when we come back as a large group can be the voice for our breakout room. And this time together, we are going to try to find something that we all have in common that might be unique or fascinating or unusual, something that we wouldn't expect to have in common. So it's not going to be, we're all here to, on a dementia journey together. It can be, other things in our lives. Questions that you may want to kind of think about is there something interesting about you? What do you love? What is something in your immediate environment that you cannot live without? So thinking about those kind of questions, having a conversation, getting to know other people in your group. And then if you can't get to every conversation, every bit of what you want to say, that is okay. This is only the beginning of getting together to discover who each other are and to build a body of work together. So we'll break out into our groups for about 15 minutes or so, discover something that you all have in common that's interesting, and when we'll all come back in a large group, we'll hear what each breakout room discovered about each other. So.
It's that magic moment before the groups disappear. Yeah.
And I'll end on the thing that we actually found out about each other. And this was this amazing moment because we had like 3 minutes left or less. And we realized we had to come up with something unique that we all have in common. And I freaked out as an academic. I wanted to sort of have a process right away how we're going to do this. And what's amazing is Stephen was joining us from a landline. So he didn't have visual access like the rest of us did to our screens. And he's the one who heard Chantel's cat in the background and just said, well, what about cats? And it turns out we all love cats and have cats. So that's what we have in common. And it's amazing to me because we had screens, Stephen didn't have a screen, and yet it's about being perceptive to the things that, a lot of us are missing. So I think that was just a lovely conversation. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Something you said made me look up about being ridiculous. I think you said, I think and thinking of like how often when we do these kinds of games and things, I know for me, I do them and I do them you know, they've been a big part of my life, but I never stopped feeling ridiculous at that. But then I was looking at, one of my favorite quotes, and I'm sure many people have heard, is a quote by Che Guevara, when he says, at the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. It is impossible to think of a genuine revolutionary lacking this quality. And whereas I'm not casting us all as revolutionaries, I do think our world would be in a better place if we were better able to just be ridiculous with each other a lot more. So thank you for being willing to be ridiculous. Other groups. Who was reporting out on our group? Robin or Amber? I just don't remember.
Go Amber.
Go Amber.
Oh, I thought Robin was doing this.
Oh, well, we'll improvise.
We'll improvise. I did not take any notes. So we were, and I'm trying to think of where we came together on how we were together. So please jump in. We kind of got to, we were talking about just stuff. So chocolate chip cookies, which we all don't enjoy on a regular basis or often, but all love very much. We all sported short fingernails. We all have some kind of creative venture that we do in our life, whether it be music, art making, jewelry making, all kinds of things. But more than all of the things coming together, I think it was just really interesting to learn all the differences that we all had and things that we all enjoy and take on in life. So nice to meet you all, group.
One thing we definitely are having more in common these days is we are all having more anxiety dreams. So it is a sign of the times. All right, another group. I don't know who group leader is, so somebody from the group should pop out, and or the leader or the presenters. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you can present if you want to present.
Kristen, do you want to share from our group?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. So in our group, I was originally talking about this kind of unconventional relationships and how we ended up talking about objects and how when we've had a person, in our case, we were talking about people who have passed, but people who have meant something to us and their objects, and talking about that evolution where like you inherit this object, and then once you've inherited this object, there's an evolution of what it meant to that person when you inherit it and what you can transform it to be. So we were talking about how your home sometimes is a shrine for the objects that you've come to own because of people passing or for whatever reason. And we talked a lot about the idea of the symbolism of objects, and we were sharing how the objects that we have in our lives, and if we were to bring it out into the world, how we could share parts of ourselves using those objects. So I was sharing that, and what Pia was saying as well, that sometimes that we've had opportunities to bring something that's meant to us to either a meeting, or I've had an interview where I was asked to bring in an object, and through that being able to speak about ourselves. So we're really taking the time to talk about how important objects are to us, and how sometimes also how those objects are a performance of self and selfhood is what we were talking about. And how in like homes, for example, when people have to downsize and bring objects into their home, how sometimes that's missed, and how you unfortunately aren't able to bring the objects that matter to you, and how important it is to have those objects to discover and to share ourselves.
Cool.
Thanks, Kristen. Great summary.
Yeah, well, I'll talk. I don't know what group number I was in, and we didn't even recognize we were supposed to be taking notes, but I wrote everybody's name down, and that's what reminded one of the group members. So I had Stephanie Elkins, Jill Piazzi, Mary Rednofsky, and Amanda Mosier. And so we did recognize that that animals are very important in our lives. And then we were talking about why we're all here, like why are we showing up? And so some of the themes that came through were connectedness, love, justice, being in the moment, the connection, and also reconnection with society and working towards justice and the common humanity. So these were common themes that kind of evolved from our conversation. I thought it was really beautiful. And I just wanted to note, like just listening to each person speak, I've been jotting down those as well, because I think they all mesh so beautifully as creatives, and change makers. We want to, somebody talked about paying attention, using our senses, be spontaneous, honoring objects and selfhood. Like those are themes that we just came up with in, half an hour. Like that's beautiful. So anyway, thanks y'all. Thank you.
Actually, if folks wouldn't mind, the ones who kind of report, and again, I'm really not trying to create work for you, but if you could just maybe in the chat room jot down some of the things that you all reported out on, because there's something very lovely and in a way, almost poetic about what we're talking about. So I think it would be lovely to capture it. So again, take a minute to just share some of the things. Are there other groups that we haven't heard from? David?
I think some or attempt to sum up some of our conversation. We touched on Dr. Seuss, obviously my style guru, Dr. Seuss, that I'm kind of dressing after clearly, and our desire to our fairly shared desire to kind of write, whether through kind of correspondence or for expression. But ultimately, I think the number one thing that unified us, along with animals, I forgot, love of animals, and chocolate, was a kind of thematic one, which is really interesting because it's kind of quite form content, because we were kind of talking about a fairly shared urge to move, urge to kind of be somewhere else, an urge to even run from where we are, but then also the kind of tension of resisting that and using the moment to kind of not give in to that impulse to just go somewhere else and go to another place, and just to actually stay where we are and reflect on who we are and where we are now, rather than just rushing instantly, impatiently to kind of go somewhere else. I don't know if that is summing up our group or thematically over egging our group. Susan, what are your thoughts on that?
It sounded excellent to me.
Cool. I'm glad. Phew.
That's lovely.
Yeah, that was the general thing.
Okay, so David,
we're an intense group.
So David, you said where that you all had Dr. Seuss. When I look at you today, I see, where's Waldo?
That's true.
Also a major style icon, it's dip in between the two.
We take our inspiration wherever we can get it. That's funny.
Pre-teen apparently is mine.
That was so lovely. Actually, we're going to move on, but I'm just curious. I just kind of for a moment wanted to open it up for everyone. If there were things that you just wanted to share from that experience or anything. I mean, this is not a planned thing. So I just wanted to give everyone a chance to kind of hop in if you wanted to in terms of kind of how you experienced that and other thoughts you might be having.
I just want to say how grateful I am for this opportunity to meet some of you. I mean, I think, well, all of you, but in our group in a more intimate way. And just what a delight that is. This is one of the most enjoyable Zoom meetings I've had through the whole pandemic, I could say. So really enjoying it.
I wanted to just say how, listening to everybody's reports and also our own group, that the really appreciate our willingness and capacity to play, because they're all very, very playful and delightful, which I thinking about what Pia was saying, it's just a really wonderful experience and a joy to play with you all.
I wanted to say that I found that, sharing all of this with everyone and our passions are the same is really great. I think what I said in the group was, hey, I found my tribe, right? So everyone seems to be on here. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Others before we move on?
I'm so impressed with Stephen. Sorry, Stephen, it's Holly speaking here. Stephen, who was joining us on the landline, because Stephen's been in Tokyo at conferences, virtually on the telephone. Oh, it's so exciting, Stephen. So I just wanted to give you a shout out from up north in England.
Oh, well, that's nice, but it's all connected because David from Flourishing Lives was there as well. And that was actually about the use of technology. And I think I was more invited as someone that wasn't using it or using very low tech, just using a landline. But it is a thing that Zoom allows me to be on 3 continents in one day and not leave my own armchair. Yeah. But I still like seeing people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We spent 30 minutes drinking tea in that session.
That's true, yeah.
Which was
Just
good.
tea, nothing laced. Okay. I'm going to, so what we wanted to move to is to begin to talk about a little bit about what reimagining dementia means to us. And that will mean whatever we create. I mean, there's not a lot of instructions. I wanted to pose something because I kind of feel like I like kind of the continuing this conversation in the large group. We were thinking about going back and breaking back into the same small groups. My feeling is we're a small enough large group that we could continue it together. And I just wanted to get a feel for the room. I'm not making a unilateral decision, but I don't know. I kind of like the feel of us, what we're doing together. And it feels like we could probably do this in one large group, if that's okay with people. And again, my general rule is that if somebody feels strongly otherwise, feel free to say so. I'm really not imposing anything.
It's Susan McCauley here. I wonder, what are we going to do next?
We're going to take, I think to begin talking about what reimagining dementia means to us, and begin to kind of share that with each other and use that ultimately as kind of the building blocks. And obviously we have 2 other conversations coming up this week where we will be talking to many more people from around the world. But really to just kind of begin to share and to share with each other what, funny kind of way, why we're here, why we decided to come together, why reimagining dementia, what that means to us, not necessarily from a here's what we have to do, although we are very open to if you have thoughts about where, but really the organizing group, and Pia, David, Susan, Mary, Phyllis, and myself and others thought that it would be, we wanted to use these initial groups to really kind of get to know each other, get to know who people were, and begin to use that as the basis for beginning to, at some point identifying things we might want to do. But we self-consciously decided not to put out a platform, not to put out a series of action steps or things like that, because we really wanted this to be a more organic process where we began to get to know each other and kind of who we were and what were our interests and what were our, expertise and things like that. So in that sense, but it's also talking about, but you all are here, and obviously you were attracted to this for a reason. So it's an opportunity for us to get to know each other a bit more and to hear more from you why this is something you want to be a part of and how you see that in the context of what you're doing professionally, personally, whatever. So in that sense, it's open. And if there's other things that others want to add, feel free. But so that's this will take us through till we have a short closing thing. But just in a way, it's to open it up now and kind of to speak more about we're here together. Who are we? How we're thinking about this? What we might want to do together? Anything, all of that. So is that?
Okay, so Mary, it's Phyllis. Can I also ask everybody then, if we're going to do it this way, to type your thoughts in the chat box so that we have them, so that we can gather them from everybody in all 3 sessions to help us put together our game plan.
Yeah, we can do that, and we're recording this, so we have both vehicles, so we have, we can. But yes, folks can also add them to the chat box, and we'll obviously save that. Yeah, but so why don't we open it up? And Stephanie, you want to kick us off?
I was going to suggest, there's a little delayed suggestion about breaking out into groups, so it's a little more intimate, that people have a chance to share maybe with one of the co-founders of the collaborative, because I feel like sometimes it's a little more opportunity for people to really hear each other if not everybody's able to share. So I don't know if we want to do that or not.
That's fine. Then, as I said, then that's, if somebody wants to do that, we'll do that. Okay, so why don't we break out into, Mike, why don't we break into smaller groups?
Could I ask a quick question, Mary, before we do that? Once we're in our small groups, do we still have access to chat, and will that chat be accessible to you as the host after the meeting's over?
Actually, so the chat I don't believe the chat in the breakout rooms is available long-term. So it may be that collecting it in an email or something like that. And Mary, I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, if somebody in the small groups could take responsibility for copying, and well, I don't know how to do it. Actually, that's not going to work.
Stay as a group if everybody wants to put their information in there. That's fine.
Pardon?
We can stay as a large.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. It's just I was trying to think of if.
A way to do it, Mary, and group. And I apologize, folks. There was a really sudden closing of the breakout rooms last time. That was not intended. It was supposed to be, we gave you a minute of notice. We'll give you 2 minutes and then a minute this time around. Mary, thank you for the suggestion, Mary Radnofsky. But a suggestion might be, if you want to create, what you're going to create in the chat in the breakout rooms, and then when you get the 1 minute warning, somebody can copy all of that and then repaste it in our chat.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Mike, I don't think copying pasting actually works from the chat, because I've tried to do that before and it doesn't actually copy.
No.
So I'm just wondering, maybe like a
Maybe one
notepad or an
person,
email.
maybe one person could take notes and put it in when we come back together. Yeah.
Is that workable?
Mm-hmm.
And again, they do not have to be detailed. These are, obviously they can be along the lines of what we did. All right, then let us, we will see you back in about
10 minutes,
15, 20 minutes.
And just so you know, we figured the best way to do this would be to put you back in same groups so you can build some continuity. So, all right, here we go.
Okay.
Marlene, that was a great point. I'm sorry that you got cut off.
I'm sure they were like, wait, I haven't finished it. All right, so Marlene, I'm sorry that you want to finish your point, Marlene?
I think the conversation that we're having is so rich as it thinks about us rethinking the way we think about and engage individuals with their needs. And in the service delivery environment, so this is a major change that we need to think about for the culture. But there's another aspect here, and it's how we create opportunities for new types of partnerships and new ways that employees can bring out who they are into the human experience. And I think that moves from person directed, nothing for me without me, to actually a people-centered environment where we actually bring both parties together. And I think that opportunity for play and creativity can actually be very invigorating for employees to bring out who they really are, as opposed to working within the routines and the structures that within which they've been educated.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, well, it is now the official witching hour. We are, as I think we said in the email, you are welcome to stay for another 15, 20 minutes if you just want to informally chat, because obviously the program, you know, we'll adjust it. Now I think we have a better sense of the timing. Please, 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 if somebody from your groups could put in the chat or send to me what you created. And just so you know, somebody was asking in our group about whether or not we're going to send out a mailing list. We'd love for everybody, because people began connecting, and I'm sure there's people who want to, you know, connect with each other. We just have to go through a bit of a process of just making sure that the mailing list is people who have opted into doing that. So as soon as we do, and obviously feel free to informally connect with each other. We're not.
Mary, do you want us to let you know if we're opting in, or if we want to opt out?
You'll get an email.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it somewhat officially offline. So I want to thank you. We will be. So are we queued up, Mike, for our final? Okay. So we're going to go out. We decided, and our members wanted to do and first of all, thank all of you. This was our inaugural meeting. Speaking for myself, I think we're off to a very good start. It's very, very exciting. Thank you all for your enthusiasm and participation. Now we're going to go out with a little dance and sing along. Feel free to boogie down. Feel free to stay and informally chat. We'll keep this room open for about 20 minutes. But otherwise, we will be in touch, and somebody raised their hand. Kristen? Nope. Okay. So anyway, thank you all very much. It was a joy and a real, it was just fun. And so Mike, take us out, and we will be in touch soon. Please, please, please put all your notes, either send them to me or put them in the chat box. And thank you. Mike, take us away. I dare you not to move. Pump up the volume, Mike.
Up the volume.
Like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that.
Okay, folks are staying on. Why don't we go? And those of you who want to stay on and chat, again, feel free. It's the floor is now yours.
Benji.
Good to see you all. Good to see you. Michelle, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Mary.
I realize part of this is I talk to so many people by phone. I've got to in order to remember them.
Blessings, everyone.
Corey.
Thank you.
Jill, where are you in Texas?
You have to unmute.
I know, I'm trying to. I'm in San Antonio.
All
San
right.
Antonio.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of ties to, and Hebden Bridge. Trying to see if.
Amanda, I'd like to talk with you again sometime. That would be great. Jill, it was nice to see a fellow Texan. And, talk again soon.
I don't know if I knew this. Mary, where are you from in Texas?
I grew up just outside of Houston. My dad was at NASA for.
Oh, all right. Yeah, all my entire, pretty much a lot of my family's in Texas. So. I was like, Stephanie, where, I know you're from Los Angeles. What do you do?
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I'm off. Oh, okay.
You're off.
Hi. Yeah. For one thing, Mary left, just left. So yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. I am an elder care coach and consultant. And my background is I used to work for the Lisa Gibbons Memory Foundation, and I ran a free resource center for family caregivers with family members with, the individuals living with Alzheimer's. And so I kind of worked with everybody on those that had MCI throughout. And so really kind of understanding the resources and support that are needed around education, empowerment, and energy, and family dynamics and grief. And I've also worked in end of life. And how we around advanced care planning and those conversations. And so I think for me, but also it's sitting in the creativity space. So it's really how to combine all those different areas of taking away stigma, holding space for important conversations, and really getting to know the individual and their wishes and desires, and really going over the continuum of care, because I feel like I sit in healthcare, elder care, and death care, which is, so that's another stigma. Like if we're talking about dementia and, the individual, right? And so it's kind of where's the continuum of holding space for all those on the continuum, and empowering people to be valued and honoring what they want now and in the future. So that's kind of interesting thing that I sit, like a lot of the conversations I'm in Let's Reimagine Festival is about a death and dying festival, but I'm here now. So I'm just saying that's kind of like, so it's kind of interesting. And I'm with passionate people and like Amanda, like tribe members everywhere of really honoring individuals. So that's kind of where I sit involved with a lot of different organizations, but working independently. And anyway, is there any soul collage people here? Sometimes I know when I work in certain different groups, more creative groups, there are some individuals that are into soul collage. I don't know if there's anybody here that's into that. No? Oh, okay. I'm sorry I missed the opening with everybody.
What is soul collage? I don't know what it is.
It's more about intuitive art making and design. They're like a deck of cards, and then there's different things that it's really reflective. It's more of a process. A lot of art therapists use it as a tool, or people do it independently, but it's more of intuitive art making for self-discovery, for your own self-discovery. It's based off a Sina Frost model who's out here. So so for me, that I am creative, but I don't feel like I'm a natural artist or creative, that this is kind of a way to play with tools and be a little more creative within a structured way.
It's interesting you say you don't feel naturally creative, because we had a discussion in our little breakout group about how when we're little, tiny people, we just do explore and play, and we poke around with stuff. So we've tried to make perfume out of rancid petals, and we do all this stuff. And then suddenly we go to school and we've got to do the curriculum, and then suddenly we think, oh, I'm a mathematician, or I'm a such and such, and we forget that we're all intuitively exploratory and sort of, we like poking around with stuff. It's just that we were told not to.
Yeah,
that reminds me, Holly, of Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk on creativity and how education kills creativity. And his whole thesis is that we're all born creative, we're all born artists, and we're educated out of it. And I just love the story he tells of this little girl who's drawing in one of her classes, and the teacher comes up to her and says, well, what are you doing? And she says, well, I'm drawing a picture. And the teacher says, well, what are you drawing a picture of? And she says, I'm drawing a picture of God. And the teacher says, but nobody knows what God looks like. And she said, they will in a minute. and what I love about that story is that he uses that to argue that we fear failure. And he's not saying that failure and creativity are one and the same, but he says we're never going to be creative if you fear failure. And kids don't. They'll give it a go. That little girl gave it a go, and she wasn't worried about failing. So anyway, it's a beautiful, if you haven't seen it, just Sir Ken Robinson on creativity. It's just fantastic.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's why, Mary, I really appreciated the opening and just getting out of our bodies. Like, that's so brilliant. I usually do deep breaths, but I like the more fun gibberish thing.
I'm working on learning more kind of Zoom activities that are fun. But when I was thinking about one of the games and exercises, Mary and I often incorporate in the Joy of Dementia workshops is some kind of variation of I made a mistake, because it is so much a part of our kind of upbringing and culture. Where in the more academic you get, I think the more you get, you cannot make a mistake, and it's tyrannical. It just keeps you from kind of imagining and breaking out. And I was trained as a physician, and it was impossible to make a mistake. You kind of stood I remember standing in humiliation by the bedside, having made a mistake.
We use a lot of improv. Oops.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Sorry. We use a lot of improv in our programs as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Ansaldo at IU, but we do some improv with care partners and people who are living with dementia to really just be able to let things go, and improv on different situations that arise. And now we've decided to incorporate that into our classes with the high schools and the colleges, when it comes to any kind of medical care or health care that they're going into. So how to be very flexible and come up with new things and laugh when you can and enjoy what you're doing still. So it's really nice to have that as part of our program.
Yeah, it's interesting because I introduced improv into my training for young physician and education program just because I thought it was very, very difficult to break out of the I know paradigm. Yeah, and it was interesting. I really loved it.
Yeah, so Susan, you said about making mistakes. So yesterday I was doing an interview for a TV station, and I had my piece I had to convey, and I started to rhyme off names of people involved in this project, and I got halfway through and I drew a blank. And so I just said, well, there's a lot more involved, but I don't remember right now who they are. That's it. Drop it. Move on. So it's those types of things.
Yeah. Makes such a difference. It's very freeing.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of making mistakes, what did I call the coalition? Did I say reimagining dementia?
I think so.
Okay, because at some points I heard myself and I thought, I'm not giving the right title. So rather than obsessing about it, which I can do. Okay, good. But if I had, I just made a mistake.
Sorry, is this your team debrief I'm sitting in on? Are you,
No. After the meetings, we're just having a get together. Anybody can say what they want. Just get to know each other.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you weren't wanting to do a wrap up and I'm just hovering around like a bad smell.
No.
We are on the clock here now. I am going to have to go off. I do have another call, but it was lovely. Feel free to stay on and I will turn this off when I come back, but stay on for about another 5 or 10 minutes and then have fun.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
What time is it over there in the UK?
It's
For you
4:45.
What?
Quarter to 3.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Not
reasonable.
too bad.
Only 2.25 hours left till witching hour when we can have our gin and tonics. Hey, David.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, you must have had to get up very early because I noticed you're the only West Coaster on the.
Yeah, there's the next couple days there's another summit that I'm part of, and so I switched my time to be here at 6 a.m. with all of you guys. I did still have time, like I didn't have time to get my coffee, but I put on a little makeup. Like that's my priorities. Like I don't know, I don't know. You can tell. I'm like, oh, I didn't get my coffee, but yeah, it was important for me. And I didn't miss the opening, so I didn't get to know everybody. But thank you for doing those breakout groups.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Susan.
Okay.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Sorry,
Sorry,
David,
go on,
you
Holly.
go. No,
No,
you
after you, please.
Oh, ladies first. Come on.
No.
No, I just wanted to say to Susan, thank you so much. I know lots of people have said about the improv, but I loved that whole, it was like we made a collective soundscape with all the different sounds that we were making. I'd be really interested to hear the recording of how that came across because it was so vibrant. And something really beautiful, despite it being pitched as gibberish. It was gibberish is beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a collage of voices.
Yeah. I would love to hear that too, because I when I'm leading it or something, I often focus on the expression, what people are doing. My hearing isn't that great. Anyway, so thank you. And I'm going to listen. Yeah. In the recording, because I do love the game because I love gibberish. And I just think it's or gibberish. I never know the right pronunciation, but I love it as just a experience of, because people can just talk in gibberish and it's very, very expressive. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
My
It's
older
really-
sister is.
It's really in both.
What? Go ahead, David.
Sorry, I think my connection's being laggy, so sorry. I got a sense from our group, Cian was in our group as well, that the coalition is really emboldening people. People are taking courage from the opportunity for this to kind of be amplified, you know, and the international amplification of it as well. And it kind of goes back to the mistakes thing, because, you know, starting with, you know, gibberish exercises and starting with kind of a communication of vulnerability and silliness is a kind of invitation to be vulnerable as well, isn't it? Which people really respond to. Because when you start off by just going like, yeah, we might mess things up and it doesn't matter. And I don't know about you, Cian, but I got that sense from our group that there was a kind of almost a sense of relief, particularly from one of the members of the group, just kind of like, oh, thank God that there are people with a shared sensibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so I thought that was lovely. And so, yeah, thanks again, Susan, for kind of facilitating that. Kind of, and
good.
Mary.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that, you know, we join these groups and we think we have to be so on our game and speak intelligently, you know, present properly, don't make a mistake. And by opening it up with that, it relaxes everybody so they're more open and more able to express themselves.
Have any of you had a chance to explore Memory Bridge with Michael Verdi?
Yes. I know of him a little bit, and we have a quote that we use of this all the time. I can't remember the quote, but it is something about when you're
Embrace.
so focused on yourself or something, you have to sort of remember.
So Michael lives here in Indiana with us, and, you know, I work with him on different aspects, but he, you know, learning some of the things I have learned through the Memory Bridge experience is just amazing. It's amazing to just let go of that other self and just be who you are, and just be able to communicate with others freely, not worrying about what that other self is saying about you, or you're telling yourself, really. You're judging your own self. But yeah, I use the phrase often, Susan, when I'm working with my students, to embrace the awkward. And I really was able to encompass that from my Memory Bridge training that we went through. So it's really interesting if you get a chance to look that up. It's just memorybridge.org and take a look at what he has really built off of there. So,
So Amanda, I have to agree with that, because when I first got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to do anything in fear of making a mistake or in fear of saying the wrong thing. It wasn't until I came to accept that, you know what, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. People need to hear the message, even if I make a mistake, before I started to be able to speak up and before I became, you know, a speaker, an international speaker, right? I wouldn't have done it before in fear of making a mistake. But now if I make a mistake, I was at a conference once and I went to say, I've had dementia for 4 years. And I said, I've had dementia since I was 4 years old, you know?
That's a great one.
So, you know, we all make mistakes. And I just turned around and said, well, if that doesn't prove I've got dementia, I don't know what does. So it's, you know, being able to make your mistake, accept it, and move on.
Well, these are life lessons, right? These are, it's
yeah.
kind of like the idea of, I was trying to think of reframing of two things, Phyllis, just what you shared and kind of you giving permission, like you acknowledging yourself, saying, and then giving other people permission just to be, like, that's so powerful. And those are like life lessons. And also the idea of what Holly was talking about, there's a certain place when we lose our playfulness, our like what the education gets in the way. And I feel like that's such a place of people remembering like that moment when it wasn't okay just to be present, like when you're a child and you like remember that moment, because we all have that moment when we like that switch of grief of that we did something wrong, and just being present with it. And we that connection we can make with like it's all going to be okay, just accepting. I don't know, there's a certain moment there that we were talking about being a kid and a mistake and then just being who we were, that I thought was like a beautiful teaching moment. I kind of lost it, but I don't know if you.
So Stephanie, what I'm getting is an example. I'll do something now that I would have never, ever done. And my older grandchildren that are 19, 20, 24 will go, oh, Nanny, you know, because they've lost that playfulness.
I was thinking about this kind of what you were talking about, Stephanie, of being in the moment. And, you know, I'm very appreciative of it, that somebody says, well, how do I do this? You know, how do I work with my mother who has a diagnosis with dementia, and she's always, you know, not listening to me, or, you know, fighting with me, or I'm having these fights. And he said, well, be in the moment. And that's not so easy to do. I think it's that there's an assumption that we could just be in the moment if we wanted to. And I think that to me, the playing and the games and the improvisational exercises are in some ways helping us view ourselves. I mean, be in the moment. It's almost an exercise of being in the moment. So I don't think I think people have to have some experience of that and practice that.
And the other thing they have to do, Susan, is a lot of people don't realize that we do have a processing problem, and that moment may extend to 2 minutes before we get it in our brain, process it, and get it out. So when they say like, she's not listening to me, she's ignoring me, it's not really. It takes us a bit to process it. And I think people have to learn that.
I think that's where we're always talking with our students. Embrace those awkward moments of silence. It's okay to have those awkward silence. It's hard to sometimes. We're all so used to having responses. Embracing the awkward moments of silence. There's another thing I wanted to mention is, you know, as we're working on reimagining dementia and what we want people to get out of this, you know, sometimes, and what I've learned over time is that if people don't have the ability to experience what we're experiencing or what we want them to experience first, then they may never be able to change their minds on the stigma. And so they really have to be able to experience acceptance from others in order for them to accept others first and foremost. And that's really hard to tackle on such a level, as I mentioned, how much it's affecting us. So that is something that maybe we can put into reimagining dementia, is how do we express these things to people first before we expect them to change their minds.
Definitely agree with that. And Susan, just on your point, is giving people opportunities and permission. I think people need kind of permission, but, you know, to be present when we know for a lot of carers and so on, care partners, it's like, what are now my responsibilities? Like I have more adulting to do and for others and stuff like that. And so it's getting that, but part of that being like where, you know, what all those aspects of who they are and part of that. So I think that is like Amanda, what you're saying is modeling and giving people the opportunity, or having professionals out there to kind of remind people it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hop off here. So it is.
I think we're gonna finish. And anyway, I'm gonna go vote.
Yes.
I'm going to go try early voting.
But I have a client at 11. So.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye. It's really been just wonderful.
And David, I wasn't picking on you earlier. I love your attire.
No, that's very kind. I get accused of looking like Where's Wally is how he's known here. They changed Waldo for some reason. Needed that. Yeah, I've got the Where's Wally thing from my own children before, so yeah, I take that one on the chin. And actually, Phyllis, thank you again for suggesting the before and after session. It's really great. It adds so much to the kind of formal workshop. And actually, I said to Mary that we instantly, with the kind of Flourishing Lives workshops, we're just kind of like that's brilliant. So we're doing it in our next workshop. Excellent. And I name checked you in the send out.
Excellent, because you know what?
It's great.
It is great because right now, we're not getting together. We're not having that half an hour coffee time before meetings. We're not having the after time to just get to know each other. And I think it's so important.
Absolutely.
I agree. And it makes the
we
whole
know
thing...
Susan's got to go and vote.
I tried on.
This is one of the things we know.
I tried on Sunday, and it was like, because early voting, they consolidate all voting places. So for our district, it's a church. It's about 15 minutes away, so you can't just look over and check, see how many people. And it was a Sunday, and there were like 3 blocks. People were,
Wow.
curved around the blocks. So I'm going to try a midday.
Where needs some creativity is the election. I signed up to be an election worker here in LA, and I think I was telling some of my group, and it's the programming, the training material that they need. Like it's a lot of information, but the training materials, and also like making sure everybody has like opportunity to vote and stuff. So
yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. It's really lovely.
Yes.
Bye.
Lovely to see you all.
Bye.
See you all again soon. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.